What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Matthew Sell's favorite thing, Keeping It EPL. How you doing, Matt Sells? I mean, besides your Tottenham team just continuing to
Well, it
fail.
wasn't a very good weekend for me.
Oh yeah, Forest had a rough one too.
Forest had a run; they just didn't show up. But the last time they got beat this bad, they went on an 8-game winning streak, or 8-game unbeaten streak.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I was debating reffing in NFL all weekend and out and whatnot. So
well, we'll save that for another podcast. But
yeah, we're not going to get into that. But I was debating Ange out all weekend.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, and we've been hitting this ad nauseum for the last 3 weeks, it feels like, but it's been a topic of conversation all around the Premier League for 3 weeks, and
Yep.
it still is. And what everyone seems to be saying the same thing, and you said the same thing on this show as well. You know, if he just wins a trophy, they're still in some competitions. If he just wins a trophy, it could prolong him. But I mean, they're closer to relegation than they are a Europe spot right now. It is, and they're getting beat badly. I know
They
they're
had
hurt.
more points. They had more points in the first 10 games last year than they have all of this season.
That's crazy.
I mean, they went 10 games unbeaten to start the season last year because it was 8 wins and 2 draws. So
yeah, we're going into match week 24. They played 23 games.
They played 23 games. So, yeah, I mean, I feel for him, right? Obviously, injuries.
Do you feel for him?
Injuries are not helping. I get that. Can't have this realistic conversation without saying injuries don't help. Okay, fine. Bournemouth are down that many injuries. Like,
Bournemouth's been on a tear of scoring goals.
Right? There are Tottenham fans that are like, well, their injury crisis just happened. Okay. Well, let's talk about the first 9 weeks of the season when everybody was basically healthy, right? Everybody from Bournemouth was healthy, except not really because they lost a dude right off the jump with an ACL.
Yeah.
And most people for Tottenham were still healthy the first 9 weeks of the season, right? Because everybody goes, oh, it was the Chelsea game, which happened after the 9th week of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Tottenham, with a full squad under Ange, was 1 point better than Bournemouth. And they're like, okay, well, that's close. It was close to begin with. Who did we play? Tottenham played 2 teams in those first 9 games that are currently top 8 in the table. Bournemouth played 6 in the first 9 games that are currently top 8 in the table.
Mm-hmm. And Bournemouth looked good, and they still look good.
And coming into match week 1 with a healthy squad, aside from Richarlison, who got injured in preseason, whatnot, drew a Steve Cooper Leicester. They drew with Leicester under Steve Cooper at the King Power Stadium. Leicester, a side who's been god-awful and has lost 7 straight games coming into this game this weekend, has taken 4 points from Tottenham.
From Tottenham, yeah.
I mean, say what you will about Forest taking 4 points from Liverpool. Forest has been top 4 of the table for most of the season.
Yeah. No,
right? There was a couple weeks in there where they fell off and they got down to like 7th, but they've never been outside of Europe.
Yeah, they have 44 points after 23 games. That is insane.
Right.
That is insane.
They've never been outside the European spots, and they've taken 4 from Liverpool.
Yep. Leicester took 4 from Tottenham.
Leicester took 4 from Dr. Tottenham. Yeah. Like, they go to Everton. They allow 3 goals and a half. Leicester, to put this in perspective, right? If the Everton thing is a fluke, okay. Leicester, in the 7-game losing streak before playing Tottenham, had scored 2 goals in those 7 games. They scored 2 goals in 5 minutes. Down on the road at Tottenham. Like, sure, injuries are one thing, but like Bournemouth is rolling. They're in Europe. They've got 8 dudes, 9 guys out who should be in their starting 11, right? They just housed the ever-loving daylights out of Forest 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
I turned it off when it was 3-0. I thought it ended 4. Didn't realize they scored another one. And
you know who Bournemouth has next? Liverpool. Could be an interesting game.
Bournemouth is rolling right now. Tottenham's the opposite. Like,
And they've lost
I
4 in a
heard
row,
somebody
Tottenham.
describe
4
it
losses
as
in a row for
yeah.
Tottenham. I can't remember the last time Tottenham has lost 4 in a row. Like,
The
it's
last time Tottenham lost to a team that had lost 7 straight before playing them was, like, 1912.
I was gonna say, was I alive when that happened?
No, it's like 1912 is the stat that I saw.
Not
Like,
many people are alive from when that
no,
if anybody.
Titanic. Like, the Titanic freaking sank that year, right? So, like,
Yes.
that's how long ago.
And right now, the Tottenham Titanic is sinking again. But
Yeah.
rough matchup again this week against Brentford. It's not
It's
gonna be easy. Not
no,
gonna
and
be
then
easy.
they're playing Europa League. We're recording this on Wednesday afternoon during the massive 18-game
Champions League.
everybody's playing at the same time, the one where Scott Hansen almost did the broadcast for it, which would have been sweet.
That'd have been awesome.
So we're recording this then. Thursday, Tottenham plays in Europa League. They're fine. They're safe. They don't need to play any of their starters. You know who they're playing? Mickey Van de Ven is like he's fresh off injury. Like he's just trained for 2 days. And you're gonna go and stick him in
Right
there
in there.
after, by the way, Richarlison should have come out at halftime against Leicester because he complained about a groin and they tried to get 10 more minutes out of him. Papsar should not have played at all, according to Ange. He said, he wasn't healthy. I shouldn't have played him. Then why did he play 90 minutes? Like, you have Will Lancashire and Mikey Moore on your bench. Yes, they're teenagers, but you brought them in to be parts of your squad, and now you're not playing them, even though 14 dudes are injured.
Yeah,
So
it
then
doesn't
they're
make any
never going
sense.
to be part of the squad.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's gonna get easier for Tottenham at all. And
So
but
we'll
like we said, if he just finds a way to win one of these trophies, major or minor, anything, it
yeah, but then my
I don't know how he
concern.
wasn't sacked. He should be sacked right now. Let's be honest.
So
He should be
everybody
fired right now.
who's like Ange in keeps putting up this stat of when we have our normal back five starting, right? Vicario, Udogi, Van de Ven, Romero, and Porro.
Yeah.
They've played a grand total of 16 games together under Ange.
No, in all competitions.
16. You know how long he's been there? A year and a half. Like,
Yeah.
it's been 60 Premier League games at
Wow.
this point. They've played 16 together. And they're like, oh, in those 16 games, we won 12 of them. Okay. But it's 16 and 60. It's not like 16 out of 20. That'd be a different thing.
Yeah.
Right? So here's the problem that I have now. I feel like this is setting up to be a Ten Hag situation.
It looks
Where
like
you knew the soccer was terrible for Man U.
Yeah.
But Ten Hag kept going, I'm alive for titles. I'm alive for titles. I'm in title races. And then he inexplicably beat Man City for the FA Cup title.
Yep.
Which got him into a better Europe, which got him into Europe, period.
Yep.
Because they should not have been in, I don't think, did they qualify for Conference League or are they only in Europe because of the FA?
I think because of the FA.
Right. They took Chelsea's Europa League spot.
Mm-hmm.
So Chelsea got Conference League, which is why they're beating the bejesus out of teams that have only been around for 6 years.
They're crushing everybody, dude. It's crazy. They're going to win that for sure, but yeah.
But, like, you knew the soccer was bad, but Ten Hag kept going, well, I'm winning trophies. This is what you brought me in for. And then they kept him, and then in the middle of this season, they fired him, and then all of his players sucked, and it's like, how'd you win the trophy, man?
Yeah.
I feel like this is kind of what Tottenham is shaping up to do.
Looking like it.
They're gonna keep Ange because he's he's ahead against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup semis.
And I'll be honest with you, Liverpool care less about that.
Could care less. They
have
want
one goal, and that's to win the Premier League. They care less about I'm going to say this: Champions League is even second to that this year.
Yeah, they want Premier League, then they want Champions League,
then they want the FA Cup.
Then FA Cup is probably 3.
No, then Community Shield.
So, like, he's alive for Carabao.
That won't happen until next year, but yeah.
He's barely alive for FA Cup somehow, because let's not forget, it took 100 minutes to score against Tamworth.
Tamworth.
They had to bring in 6 of their normal Premier League starting 11 to beat a National League side.
Yeah.
So he's gonna win something because they're just gonna play well enough. Like they should win Europa League. Like they are still favored. They should like half of their starting 11 could be out and they'd still have better teams than anybody
Yeah.
else in that competition, right?
It gets a little tough
That's
in
gonna be the problem.
Europa. It gets a little tough because you also have some teams who qualified for Europa last year who are actually in Champions League spots this year that are better teams, and the only reason they slipped some points last year. It
Right.
does get a
But
little
then
bit
you have
tougher. Jurgen Klopp could not, for the life of him, win that trophy.
yeah, but then you have the opposite of like who Tottenham played last week in Europa League, which is Hellsberg
That
or
sounds like a
Elfsberg.
terrible
I don't
place
know,
to
one of
live.
them. No, they're playing Elfsberg this week. I think it was Hoffenheim they played last week in
Yeah.
Bundesliga. They are in dead last in Bundesliga. They've
Wow.
won like one game like all season, and yet they had to battle to the hilt to beat a relegation side. And people are like, well, it's Bundesliga. They're pretty good. I'm like, no, go to Opta. They have a world ranking of every team in a major league, right?
Yeah.
Everton, as bad as Everton's been, they are ranked 53rd in the world.
Wow.
Hoffenheim is ranked 150 something.
Where's Accrington Stanley on that list?
I don't know. It's pretty fucking in there. I mean, as bad as like the only team ranked worse than Hoffenheim that Tottenham's played is Southampton, who's like 230 something because they're just
They're
atrocious.
atrocious. Yeah. All right. Well, let's turn the page on that because we've been doing this every week,
I know it's tiring, but I got to let it
but
out.
it's
before I
tiring.
forget.
But I mean, this was as bad as it gets worse every week. The Everton was bad. This
Yeah,
one was worse.
I will say, Levy, like their management, does bear responsibility for not getting backup. But
Yeah.
to those people who are like, Ange hasn't been backed, you're
We're
just
literally
wrong.
in the middle of a transfer window, and they've only brought
You're
in a
correct.
goalkeeper.
Correct. They should be doing more.
Yeah.
However, for the people that are like, oh, you're just like Ange hasn't been backed at all. Like none of these players are his. No, he spent the second most spend and net spend since arriving at Tottenham, only to Chelsea.
Wow. I mean, Chelsea's untouchable when it
It
comes to
took
that.
Pochettino 18 months to get a transfer in at Tottenham.
Yeah. No. Yeah. He
And just
struggled.
had 19 dudes come in 3 transfer windows.
Mm-hmm.
They've spent 350 million pounds or something. Like they've spent money.
No, he's building his team, and by the way, you wrote a really great article about this on rantsnetwork.com about all this. And
And it's
and
gotten worse since I wrote that article.
it's gotten worse, so maybe you got to edit it, but it's up
Yeah,
there and it's great. So if you're interested in that, check it out at rantsnetwork.com. But um yeah, and it seems like he's building his team. He's getting players in. You're right. They spent the second most net. However, they're not players that fit his system, which
yeah,
is
they don't
really
seem to be
weird.
players that play well enough in his system.
Which is strange. And like and I think we did talk about this last week a little bit, but it's like sometimes they just look completely, utterly lost on the field. Like absolutely lost. The players don't know where to go. They don't know who to pass to. There's no like gelling connection. A lot of that has to do with players in and out from injuries. I do get that.
Correct.
But
Yes.
it also they just look like they're not giving into the system. They're not they don't like it or get it or anything or maybe what is the system? Maybe he's still trying to figure out what his system is. I don't know,
I
but
don't
it's
know.
not working, and it's not going to get any easier. This Brentford game is going to be tough. They have a tough couple weeks here. It's
Correct.
going to be it's going to be brutal. So dig
Yeah,
in.
and
I
then
don't think they're getting relegated, but it's
then
going
they
to be
play Villa in the FA Cup. So it's not like they got the easy end of the draw.
yeah. That's at
Teams
this point when you're playing another Premier League team that's in the top of the table. That's tough.
right. They've got Brentford, Liverpool, Villa, and then I don't know who they're playing
Yeah.
something Elfsport today. I don't know. It
So they
doesn't
could easily, in the span of 2 weeks, be completely out of any chance of winning a trophy.
yeah, and if they don't get a result
If that
against
happens, then is he fired?
if Leicester and Everton win their games in league play and Tottenham doesn't, Tottenham I think is one spot above Like they're sitting in 17th, I think, if that happens.
That would be correct. Yep. No, Leicester is actually
Would
7 points.
Leicester still be behind us?
Yeah. So you're going to be safe. You're not. Tottenham's
I
not
mean,
going
I
to be
don't
relegated.
think they're going down, but
Yeah. But wow. I wanted to bring something up. No more Arsenal time wasting, I promise. But what I wanted to talk about, and it's something we talked about a lot this season on this show, is that we constantly bring up how I've never seen and you've never seen, or we've never seen, so many games of lost leads that turn to losses. So when you're leading and then you end up losing the game. So guess what I did? I
did
have the
you
stats, my
redo
friend.
did
I
you
have.
redo the table if everybody held on to their points?
I didn't do that, but I have all the stats in front of me, so I thought this would
I mean,
be
I know Tottenham is number 1 in points dropped from winning positions this year,
an
ahead of Southampton,
interesting thing here. So
just
this
to
is
keep
based
the
off.
transition going.
So this is based off the opening 22 match days. So obviously, because Liverpool, and so
Right.
there's one extra game. So I'm not counting this last weekend.
Sorry, my cat just keeps
Manchester United.
Yes.
Manchester United have led this season for just 15% of their Premier League games. Manchester United have only led for 15% of all the minutes they played in the Premier League. The only two teams behind them, Leicester City at 14% and obviously Southampton at 11%.
And yet
Shocking.
Man U is 12th in the table.
And yet they're 12th in the
5 points ahead
table.
of Tottenham.
All right. So, do you know what team has had the most leads just to lose them this season?
The most leads. Well, I know Tottenham's
They
dropped the
have
most.
failed to win the most games when they have been leading this season.
Well, so does that follow with the points dropped from winning positions?
Yes, a little
So
bit.
there's Tottenham.
Nope.
Because Tottenham's dropped the most points from winning positions this year. Oh, who? Man City.
Is correct. 9 games they have been leading and ended up not keeping a hold of the lead. They are top of that.
So in their 11 combined draws and losses, they've been leading in 9 of them.
They have correct, and they have dropped 14 points from winning positions already. That total is already larger than any single Premier League team in any season since 2008, 2009.
And yet they're 4th.
And yes, they're 4th in the table. No team has held a lead at some point in more Premier League matches this season than Nottingham Forest. 19 games they have held a lead. And they've only lost from holding a lead, just 14% of match time overall. One better than Arsenal, who's 9%. So Nottingham Forest, when they get a lead, they keep it. Arsenal has only been losing. This is crazy. In every minute of every game they've played, Arsenal has only been down 9%. That is it. They are clearly
since they've had like 5 red cards this year.
Clearly, that is impressive. 9%. To put it in perspective, Liverpool is 16%, Man City 24, Chelsea 17. We talked about Forest at the 14. Tottenham here. I'm trying to find them on my spreadsheet. Did I not put them in there? That'd be fun.
Probably not.
Yeah, Spurs.
The
Spurs have been losing for 35% of their matches. That puts them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th place. That's it. Winning percentage of their matches. Now, Arsenal, 9%, 42% winning. Liverpool, 16% losing, 41% drawing, 43%. Man City, number 1, 45% winning their matches, and which goes with that 9. Spurs, on the other hand, 32%, drawing 33. Man United, 32% losing, 15% winning, which we talked about, which is second, third to last. 53%, number 1, keeping a draw. So that draw there is what's keeping them into.
They play a lot of scoreless games until like late in the second half.
Yeah. Ruud van Nistelrooy's first game in charge of Leicester City against West Ham, when Jamie Vardy scored the opening goal and they won 3-1. They held the lead for 102 minutes and 35 seconds that day, including added time. The longest a team have had in a winning position in the Premier League match this season.
I would assume it's up on the list of like all time because you're holding a lead for 102 minutes is
Yep.
insane.
That is crazy.
In a non-championship format where extra time isn't golden goal and you play 120 minutes and whatnot.
Now it gets better. Leicester also has the record for the shortest amount of time holding the lead this season.
What, 18 seconds?
Yeah. So, yes, they have the best, longest, and the shortest. It was seconds. Yeah. It was 15 seconds, and they also have the record for holding a lead and just to lose it. It's crazy. Leicester's season. It's insane. Well, they've gone through three coaches, one interim, but still 3 coaches, and just it's insane. So shout out to Leicester for having the longest lead and the shortest of the season. So very interesting stuff I found there. With that being said, the team that's either winning or losing the most, either they're winning or losing, they're not tied. Man City, only 31% draw, number 1 in that category. So they're either giving up goals or scoring goals in that.
They had an electric game against Chelsea.
And Spurs, they did. Spurs will be second on that list at 33% of a draw.
Did you feel bad for the new center back for Man City, the 20-year-old kid who came in, who started the game?
Yeah.
And then the first 5 minutes was just, he gave up the mistimed header, which I don't think was entirely on him. I think the other guy kind of ran too close to him to allow him to kick it back. So he went with the header, which didn't work, and gave up the goal.
Yeah.
And then the slide tackle on Cole Palmer
that
was a yellow. That was not you could see him kind of starting to cry on the field, and you just felt so bad.
Yeah, it was. Hey, they got they're winning now. Man City is now winning games. They've won 4 of their last 5.
I would be concerned if I was Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 12-point gap with a game in hand right now, so it could be 15.
Okay, but every single one of their title chases, Man City has come from 8 to 11 points back.
So, yeah, but we're talking about possibly 15 points with what? We'll count everything.
You've seen Everton lately? They look rejuvenated under David Moyes.
Yeah, that means Liverpool would have to lose just over a third of their matches. Lose, not draw, lose. Just over a third of their remaining matches. And Man City would have to.
You're not going to go the entire season with 1 loss.
I know, but are they going to lose 5 in the remaining? I doubt it. Then that's what Man City is behind.
Is Man City going to lose? They're at 6 losses. How many losses is Man City going to have?
Yeah, but I mean, even a draw would hurt them. And
they play Arsenal next. They could literally jump Arsenal, be within 3 points of Arsenal by the end of this weekend.
Yeah, that's true. But then if Liverpool win again, they have a tough game against Bournemouth. That's not going to be an easy game.
Correct. I think they have Man City left.
15 would be absolutely an insane. Yeah, Liverpool and Man City do have a match still remaining.
On the 23rd of February, they got to play.
Correct.
That's at the Etihad.
That's a must win. But I mean, it's doable. What you're saying is doable, but it's absolutely would be one of the biggest comebacks with
it would be one of the biggest comebacks, especially with the 115 charges hanging over their head.
But, yeah, it's possible, but they have to win out.
Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Spurs, so there's a win.
Liverpool have to drop 15 points in 16 games. In 16 games. That seems. I mean,
it's unlikely. I'm not saying it happens. I'm just saying Man City's not dead yet.
Hold on. Let's look at the odds here. I gotta look at the odds now because this is
Man City plays Arsenal. Right now, I would say Man City beats Arsenal.
Man City plus 2,300 to win the Premier League as it stands. Liverpool is minus 475.
I wouldn't bet Arsenal at minus.
Arsenal is plus 450 or plus 470. So you're getting, interesting enough, Newcastle is ahead of Nottingham Forest, which is interesting. After that
Newcastle has arguably better talent.
and Chelsea has dropped all the way to 1,200.
Well,
wow.
Have you seen their form in the last month?
Yeah, that's insane.
Fallen off a table.
So I mean, could you pepper a little bit on the plus 2,300 on Man City to come back from 15 points down and win? Or 12 points at least, possibly 15? Yes.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And by the way,
they have 8 games left against teams that are like 14th or worse.
And they're going to need to score more goals than Liverpool, and they're going to have to score almost 17 more goals than Liverpool during that time to get that extra tiebreaker point. So 15 even wouldn't be enough. They would need to get 16 points to do it. It's
unlikely.
Yeah.
However,
you just want drama.
I do. Also, did Liverpool add anybody in the transfer window?
Nah, they don't need to.
Right, because Man City's just added another dude too. They just
yeah, but these are guys that aren't ready to play. I mean, they may, but they're not.
Did you see Marmouche going ballistic against Chelsea?
Yeah, he's going to be good.
If you can take the pressure off of Haaland then returns to form.
Well, Haaland.
I'm not saying it's likely to happen. I'm saying there is a title race coming.
Oh yeah, well, there's still a title race. You got Arsenal. Arsenal's still in it.
It's not Arsenal.
You think it's Man City? You think okay? Hey, let's take Liverpool out of this.
I'm not saying it's not Arsenal because I'm a Tottenham fan. I'm saying it's not Arsenal because they don't have the attacking players to go physically get Liverpool.
Yeah, and what we just saw is Arsenal. Yes, they have the lead a lot, or they don't have a loss the most, but they also don't have a lead a lot. They
are a highly paid Forest, is what they are.
Correct, and they definitely like to waste.
I'm not saying that Forest's players are in the league of Arsenal's. I'm just saying their style of play that everybody seems to think won't work for Forest is what.
Who goes 1, 2, 3, 4 at the end of the season, in your opinion?
I think Liverpool holds on. I don't think it's like a 10-point win.
Do you think Man City climbs all the way back up to 2?
I think Man City gets to 2.
Okay, and who gets 3? You say Arsenal?
I would say so. They have the jump on Forest right now. I don't know.
And you think Forest does get that 4th spot? Or do you think? Well, they're let's see, they're 3 up on it right now, with Newcastle chasing.
Yeah, but Newcastle's been in the form of their life to get there.
Yeah, and we have Chelsea and Bournemouth. Bournemouth's been playing great, but they have Liverpool. That 4th spot could go to Forest.
I mean, it could. I'm not saying Forest is 100% locked in. I'm just saying I would give it to him right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say there's 4 teams that could probably fit in that 4 spot.
Yeah, I agree. Chelsea's one of them.
Newcastle, and Bournemouth.
Maybe Villa. Maybe Villa. They're
maybe.
Yeah,
they were there last year.
Villa had their opportunity to make a run and just were poor form during bad teams, and I think that's going to cost them by the end of the season. And they continue to draw, and they can't be drawing. They need to get quality wins against lesser opponents, and they haven't really been doing that this year. So,
I will say Forest has a brutal schedule coming up.
Yeah, Forest's schedule is absolutely.
We will learn a lot about if they can stick in Champions League play here coming up, because they have a stretch that is among the toughest in the league. They get Brighton this weekend.
Yeah, Brighton's just been disappointing lately.
Huh? Yeah. Then Fulham, which is, I don't know.
They are who they are.
Team to predict, I feel like. but then they go on a run of Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City.
That's
And then
rough.
they get Ipswich, but then they get Man U, who's playing better.
No, they're
Villa.
not.
I mean, they're playing a little better. A little better. And they finish the season with Chelsea, so that could be a Champions League spot definer.
Yeah, that's going to make or break the Nottingham Forest season right there.
I'm just glad it's not for like battling relegation. I'm just glad that it's like, hey, it's a European spot on the line, most likely.
Yeah.
And who knows? Injuries could happen. Signings could change things. There's still a week left in the transfer window.
Yeah. Who do you obviously take away Man United and Tottenham because they have been clearly the most disappointing teams.
Yeah, they're
this
not
year.
gonna go down.
Who else do you think would be up there on that list? I have one in particular that I was higher on.
I would say
And
Crystal Palace for me.
yep, that's
Where
one
they
of them.
ended the season last year under Ole Glasner,
Mm-hmm.
finishing what?
Yeah, I was really high on them, and they look like they're going to be that fun, free flowing type of
Yeah, then they
football.
sold Ezzy in the offseason, and I wasn't sure that was going to have that big of an effect, but it clearly did.
That's a good one. Mine's West Ham. I really thought West Ham would be in the top 10 this year,
on their
and
second
the
manager.
upper, yeah, and they have just not been to form. They've been bad at home, and it's just really.
I think those are the two. I mean, taking out Tottenham and Man U,
Yeah.
those are easily the two.
And all four of those teams happen to be right next to each other in the table between 12 and 15. So there you go.
And three of them are London.
Well, yeah, half the freaking league is London, or around it. But it is what it is. Do you have any last words for this before we move on? I know you're gonna be traveling here, so we'll be back next week, though, of course.
Yeah, I'm gonna be traveling, fresh off a plane, get up at 6:30 in the morning to watch Forest Brighton.
Welcome to the West Coast. You get to live my experience of watching Premier League football.
Well, no, it's 6:30 Central Time. I'm back Friday night. I landed like
lucky you. Lucky
I'm back
you.
at my house at like midnight Saturday morning Central Time, and then
because that's 4:30 a.m. now. I won't be watching that.
No. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, ordinarily I'd be gearing up for NASCAR this time of year, but I'm not doing that.
Yeah, guess who is?
Yes.
Me.
Yeah. I do have a fun stat though that I found.
Let's end on a fun stat.
The beer challenge last week.
Yes, the beer challenge. The Newcastle
170 pubs within a mile of St. James.
170 is insane. Okay.
Yeah. So this one comes from the Twitter account Paddy Power, which is
just sounds like so.
What?
That just sounds like a
It's a British gambling site.
I could obviously.
Yeah, but it's hilarious. And it ties in with who we've spent most of the pod talking about, Tottenham Leicester. Jamie Vardy scored again for Leicester against Tottenham. Mm-hmm. In fact, he scored the equalizer fresh out the locker room. So Paddy Power put out a tweet that says Jamie Vardy won the conference with Fleetwood, got promoted with Leicester, won the Premier League, won the FA Cup, got relegated, got promoted again, drank 133,234 cans of Red Bull, and Spurs still haven't won a trophy in that time.
How many cans of Red Bull?
Like 133,000. The guy just downs Red Bull. It's insane.
Kudos to his heart. Now we're recording this on Wednesday live during this Champions League. I have some news here. This is quite interesting. We've been talking about Man City a little bit. Currently, they're losing.
Did they just drop a lead?
They're losing right now, and they're currently eliminated in live bracket in Champions League, eliminated from moving on as it stands right now. Now, there's a whole second half to play, but it is.
They needed at least a result, if not a win, to save their.
It is. They would be the most, I think, shocking elimination. Everyone else kind of seems right on, but yeah, Man City currently in an elimination place. So hopefully, by the time everyone's watching this and you're Man City fans, they're safe. But even if they get out of it, they're still going to be in a place where they're not going to be in a good spot. They
got to go play 2 playoff games to make it to the knockout rounds.
Yeah, and it's not going to be fun. So that's interesting. Keep an eye on.
Yeah, because they'll play, if they move on, they'll be what, 24th? So they would play the Ninth place team twice.
Yeah. Yep. That looks like that would be, depending on these other scores. I'm looking at it right now, but yeah, that's the way it would crumble. And it would just be Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter, Atletico, Leverkusen, Lille, and Atalanta would be the moving on to the round of, which is so surprising, followed by Dortmund, Munich, Real Madrid, who
Wait, Dortmund
they
would be 9 right now, so we'd get
mhm,
2 rounds of Dortmund Man City.
possibly, yep, and then Bayern, Real Madrid, surprisingly hanging on, Milan, who's been fun, Aston Villa, PSV, Club Brugge, and PSG with a huge lead right now, looking like they're gonna get that last spot, that 16th spot before the unseeded knockout phase, where Man City's playing their dear life for as we speak. So that's a little Champions League update. We'll talk about this more next week. I think we bring up the bracket and everything will be ready and we'll know what's going on. And we
Yeah.
can talk about it a little bit and see where the Premier League teams are standing. Liverpool just took a lead again. All right.
With their bench.
With their 18-year-olds. They're all like Dan's is starting.
Literally, Gakpo's the only
I think they
that's there.
just subbed him out too at half. So
They didn't the rest of them didn't even travel. They're not even there.
yeah, why? Who wants to go there? Well, I guess
No, I
there's a
saw the travel list, and I was like, Gakpo's the only name I know on this list.
yeah. Oh, Liverpool was leading. Now they're drawing again. Okay, fine. It really doesn't matter. Liverpool has nothing to play for.
Yeah. PSV.
All righty then. We have a good week. I think the biggest matchups I think are going to be fun is the Liverpool Bournemouth is going to be fun. Obviously, Arsenal and Man City is going to be interesting to see if Man City is back to form. And yeah, Tottenham. Can Tottenham and Brentford? Can Tottenham get over that edge and get that winning ways back? We will see. We will talk about it next week on Keeping It EPL on the Rants Network. Matt Sells, where can everyone find you on the onlines?
I am at the salesman on both X and Blue Sky.
Talk about Blue Sky from now
Yep.
on.
I'm around there debating various things I find annoying.
Fair. Isn't that what most people do on social media?
I mean, basically. But yeah, that's basically me. Just debating sports stuff on Blue Sky and Twitter. That's what I do.
There you go. And your wonderful articles on rantsnetwork.com. Until next time, enjoy your week of football and see what happens in the Champions League. You'll already know by the time this comes out. So hopefully your team made it through. Man City fans, I'm either sorry right now or sorry not sorry. We'll see you next week.
See ya.